It's Book Nook time. Welcome back to the Book Nook. Today we are going to look at a book written by two cognitive psychologists, Stephen Sloman, who is a professor at Brown University, and Philip Fernbach, who is a professor of marketing at the University of Colorado. And their book is called The Knowledge Illusion: Why We Never Think Alone. Now, it's an interesting dilemma when we think about mankind. We've developed some amazing capabilities. We've sent men on the moon, we have built nuclear reactions, we've constructed the internet, we've done enormously complicated technological advances over the past many years. And yet, when you speak to the most elementary folks, people like you and me on the streets, and you ask them questions such as, do you know how a bicycle works, or how does a pen work, or how does your toilet flush? Most people don't have a clue. Interestingly, they think they know the answers to these questions. And so in the book, Stephen and Philip take us through this fascinating cognitive psychology account of why people think they know things that they don't know, and what is it in the context that creates this sort of overconfidence in humans. Today we're going to hear from Stephen Sloman, who gives us a little glimpse into the book during a presentation he made recently at the Rotman School of Management.
The average American basic questions about how the world works. It's shocking how little they know. 25% of Americans don't know that the Earth revolves around the sun. I wouldn't get too haughty about it. Canadians don't do much better. They may do a little better, I don't know. But people around the world have this kind of problem, right? 50% of Americans don't know that antibiotics kill bacteria, not viruses. I mean, we can go on and on like this. Talk show hosts love this kind of thing, right? They go up to people on the street and ask them to name the vice president. They can't do it. Only 43% of Americans can name a Supreme Court justice. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but so this is a phenomenon that is not new, right? It's not that people used to be brilliant and now they're stupid. In 1943, only 25% of college freshmen knew that Abraham Lincoln was president during the Civil War. So I think what we're talking about here is a basic fact about the human mind. We don't retain facts like this because we don't understand mechanisms. Oklahoma State did a survey a while ago, and it turns out over 80% of Americans support the labeling of genetically modified foods as produced with genetic engineering. That's reasonable, right? We should be transparent about what we're eating. We all should know what we're eating. That's fine. 80% of Americans also supported the mandatory labels on foods containing DNA. There aren't that many foods that don't contain DNA, right? I can think of multivitamins and Twinkies. I'm not even sure about Twinkies. That's about it. So it makes this belief kind of suspect, I would say, right? It's not based on a deep understanding of what their policy position is. So unfortunately, this applies to politics too. In fact, I believe it applies to politics in spades. And I believe it's a big part of the reason that the conversation south of the border, and if you go to my parents' living room north of the border, is as heated as it is, right? I mean, people just can't speak to one another these days. And many Thanksgiving dinners were broken up by virtue of the fact that people can't talk effectively and constructively about the political situation. So this is a quote that has traditionally been attributed to Mark Twain, but my sources tell me it was Maurice Switzer. My sources are Google. It is better to remain silent at the risk of being thought a fool than to talk and remove all doubt of it. Someone told me that Winston Churchill didn't actually say this, although in a sense it doesn't really matter. The idea is there. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. People have been aware of the ignorance of the electorate for a long, long time. And people have been aware that this ignorance leads to a kind of extremism.